All right, guys. So if you're watching this video, you are seeing me in the car waiting for Ryan's baseball game to start. But we are going to see if you're choosing this video, it means you liked the distributive property of multiplication for multiplying by one digit. I'm going to go ahead and show you how the same strategy is used for multiplying by two digits, and we'll see if you like that still. So I'm going to peace out, say goodbye, and let's rock and roll. Now, remember that the distributive property means to distribute means to hand out. So the distributive property of multiplication basically says that you need to hand out the digits of one factor to all of the digits of the other. Before, we were only working with one digit multiplication problems. For example, forgetting that it's 39, maybe we're just thinking 9, and we would hand out the 9 to the 4 and multiply 9 times 40, and also hand out the 9 to the 5 and multiply 9 times 5. Now, that's not going to change, except we're going to have to add another step because it's no longer just a one-digit number. It's now a two-digit number. And now we have a second digit in that second factor to worry about. So let me show you what I mean. And you will find that the more digits that get put into the problem, the longer the problem takes to solve. But that's going to be the case with any strategy that you use. So let's get to this distributive, I can't even speak clearly, distributive property of multiplication. So I'm going to be looking to distribute the digits in my second factor here, and I can only do it one at a time. So I'm going to start with the 9, and I am going to start by distributing the 9 times the 4. But I need to remember this isn't 9 times 4. It's really 9 times 40 because that 4 is in the tens place. And I can see that would be 360. I'm going to distribute the 9 also to the 5. So 9 times 5. And since this 5 is really worth 5, that simply becomes 45. So I can see here that I have two parts of my answer ready to rock and roll. 9 times 40 is 360, and 9 times 5 is 45. But now that I have a second digit, I need to do the same thing with the 3. So I'm going to go ahead and take the 3, and I'm going to multiply that by the 4. So 3 times 4, but again, it's not really 3. In fact, I need to make better space here because it's not 3 at all. That 3, I have to remember, is actually worth 30 because it's in the tens place. And so that 4 is really worth 40. So even though I just need to know that 3 times 4 is 12, I need to understand place value to know that's really meaning 30 times 40, which has two zeros. That part of the answer is really 1,200. Now I'm going to take the 3 again, which really is worth 30. Please remember that. And I'm going to multiply that by 5. And that 5 really is worth 5. So 30 times 5, that would be 15 with 1 0. That would be 150. So now I know I have 4 parts of my answer, and I need to find a way to combine them. And I'm going to combine them in a way that makes sense to me. I'm going to take my two greatest amounts first, 1,200 and 360, because these are going to be this and this. Add those together. Whoops, that's not really working. Let's try that again. And add those together. And then I'm going to take my smaller amounts here, 100. Wow, Mrs. Phillips. Get rid of that. 150 plus 45. And quick addition, 0 plus 5 is 5. 5 plus 4 is 9. So I know that my answer, I will get it when I combine these two. So you can see the distributive property takes a lot of space. It's kind of all over the place. But eventually, when you add all the pieces together, 6 plus 9 is 15. Carry the 1. 1 plus 5 is 6. Plus 1 is 7. And 1. When all is said and done, the final answer would be 1,755. And again, take a look at the screen right now. That's a lot of work to do one problem. And that is the distributive property. It does take a lot of work. I do want to show you real quick just how beneficial estimating can be. I can do a quick estimate and say, well, that's about 50 and that's about 40. And so my answer should be about 20 with 2 zeros, my answer should be about 2,000. And I can see that my answer of 1,755 totally makes sense. So let's do another example a little bit more quickly. I'm going to take the 8 and I'm going to distribute it to both digits. And that 8's really just worth 8. So I'm going to do 8 times the 6, but that's really worth 60. And 8 times the 9, that's really worth 9. So do a quick little box and dot action. 6 times 8 is 48 with 1 0. And 8 times 9 is 72. So I know that's part of my answer. But I also have a tens digit here. And that tens digit, that 2, is really worth 20. So I'm going to take that 20 and I'm going to multiply it by the 6. But that 6, I have to remember, is really worth 60. And then I'm going to take that 20 and multiply it by the 9. And that's just worth 9. So little box and dot action here. 2 times 6 is 12 with 2 zeros. And 2 times 9 is 18 with 1 0. And I know that 1,200 and 180 are both another part of my answer. So now I need to take all of this and combine it. And however it makes sense, I like to split it up. I think we make more problems, more mistakes when we try to add all 4 at once. So I'm going to add these 2 together. So I took care of those 2. Now I'm going to add the other 2, 180 and 72. That gets me 252. And my final step is to take these 2 pieces and put them together. So 1,680 plus 252. We're going to get, carry the 1. 1 plus 6 is 7, plus 2 is 9. We're going to get a final answer of 1,932. And again, estimating is such an easy way to check to see if your answer makes sense. It's just a quick trip to the spa. That's about 70. That's about 30. Do a little box and dot action. 7 times 3 is 21 with 2 zeros. I know my answer should be about 2,100. So I know my answer makes sense. If I had made a major Bob mistake, a big Bob mistake, my answer wouldn't be anywhere close to that estimate, and I would know to go back and fix my work. Now, I will show you that this strategy will work no matter how many digits you need to distribute to. It's just going to be more work. Now that I have the 4, which is just worth 4, I need to distribute it to the 3. I need to distribute it to the 9. And I need to distribute it to the 2. But I can't forget place value. That 3 is really worth 300. That 9 is really worth 90. And that 2 is really worth 2. So part of my answer, and I'm just going to do these while I'm talking, part of my answer is going to be what I get when I distribute the 4, the digit in the 1's place, all the way around. These 3 pieces will be part of my answer. But because we've moved up to 2 digits, I also need to distribute the 6. And the 6 is going to be distributed to all 3 digits. But I can't forget that that 6 is really worth 60. So I'm really going to be distributing the 60 to all 3 digits. And I have to remember what they're worth. That 3 is worth 300. That 9 is worth 90. And this 2 is worth 2. So I'll do a quick box and dot while I'm talking here. It won't let me type there. So 6 times 3, it is really not letting me type at all. So I'll put it up here. 6 times 3 is equals 18 with 3 zeros to add on. So that's going to be 18,000. 6 times 9 is 54 with 2 zeros. That's 5,400. And then 60 times 2, 6 times 2 is 12 with 1 0. So if you take a look, guys, now we have to add all of these. So you can see the bigger the problem, the more work it's going to be. Take a look at this. So now I'm going to just kind of take it apart and put it together in pieces. So I have 18,000. I have 1,200. And I'll do 5,400 also. I'll do them in sets of 3. So I'm taking care of these 3 pieces. 0, 0, 6, 8 plus 1 is 9, plus 5 is 14. Carry the 1, and that's a 2. So part of my answer is going to be 24,600. Then I have these smaller pieces left, 360 and 120 and 8. So that's going to get me 8, 8, and 4. And my final step, guys, I'm just going to grab a different color so you can see it. I'm going to take my first part that I got, 24,600, and oh, Mrs. Phillips, you just made a silly mistake. And add that, making sure I line up the place values well, 488. And I'm going to get my final answer of 25,088. 25,088. Quick trip to the spa is going to tell me if I even am close with my answer. 392 rounds to about 400. 64 rounds to about 60. A quick box and dot trip to the spa. 1, 2, 3 zeros. I know my answer should be about 20. Mrs. Phillips, what is going on? I promise I am not watching the baseball game that I'm at to make so many mistakes. I don't know if you saw I put my comma in a weird place. I should say 24,000, which is totally close to our answer. Estimating is a great way to catch those big Bob mistakes. It won't necessarily help you with the Sally mistakes, but it will help you catch those big Bob mistakes. So you're going to go ahead now and figure out if you understand this or not with a little practice activity.